The galaxy had enjoyed a long period of peace, but it was a fragile and uneasy calm. Alien civilizations, each with their own ambitions and histories of conflict, maintained a delicate balance that could shatter at any moment. Humans, in particular, had long been underestimated, seen as a minor species with limited influence. Yet quietly, they had grown stronger, expanding their technology and knowledge far beyond what most aliens realized. Their colonies spread across star systems, and their fleets were modest in size but highly efficient and surprisingly advanced. On many planets, alien cities thrived under the glow of twin suns or the light of distant stars. Diplomats traveled between worlds, exchanging gifts, knowledge, and promises of cooperation. Yet, beneath the polite ceremonies and trade agreements, every species watched the others carefully, suspicion and caution lingering in every conversation. The peace was not born of trust, but of fear, respect, and mutual understanding that conflict would be costly. In human space, scientists and engineers worked in secrecy on projects that could one day change the galaxy. Their research stations floated in orbit around remote planets, shielded from prying eyes. The humans were aware that the other species did not consider them a real threat, and they used that to their advantage, observing, learning, and preparing quietly. They traded enough to maintain the appearance of cooperation, but never revealed the full extent of their capabilities. On a distant trade hub, a human ambassador met with alien representatives, discussing trade routes, mining rights, and cultural exchanges. Every word was carefully measured. Every gesture was deliberate. And even as smiles were exchanged, hidden calculations ran behind their eyes. The aliens did not suspect that humans had been quietly monitoring their fleet movements, tracking their technology, and noting weaknesses that might one day matter. Meanwhile, tensions simmered in certain corners of the galaxy. Some factions were impatient, wanting to expand their influence aggressively. Their fleets tested borders, launching small skirmishes that were quickly contained, but each incident reminded everyone how thin the line was between peace and war. Humans observed these events with a mix of caution and curiosity, noting which alien powers were reckless and which preferred negotiation. In the skies above human colonies, fleets patrolled silently, a visible reminder that humans were not entirely defenseless. Ships moved in patterns designed to maximize efficiency, and every pilot knew the importance of vigilance. Despite the outward appearance of calm, there was an underlying current of tension. A single miscalculation could ignite conflict that would spread like wildfire. Humans understood that power alone could not secure their survival. Strategy, patience, and foresight were equally essential. Among the human scientists and leaders, there were debates about how much to reveal and how much to hold back. Some argued for caution, believing that peace should be preserved at all costs. Others pushed for preparation, insisting that humans must be ready for whatever the galaxy might throw at them. The discussions were heated but conducted quietly, behind secure doors, for the humans understood that information was a weapon as potent as any fleet. Across the galaxy, life continued in its fragile harmony. Alien civilizations built towering cities, mined precious resources, and explored distant stars. Trade caravans moved between planets, carrying goods and knowledge. Children grew up learning stories of other species, imagining adventures in faraway systems. Yet, the shadow of potential war lingered. Unseen by most, humans observed, learned, and planned, knowing that their moment might come, and when it did, they would no longer be underestimated. The fragile peace continued, like a thin sheet of ice stretching across a frozen ocean, strong enough to hold for now, but capable of shattering under too much weight. Every alliance, every trade agreement, every cautious conversation was a thread in this tenuous web, and humans, silent and patient, were both observers and participants, aware that the galaxy's calm was temporary, and the choices made today could decide the fate of countless worlds tomorrow. Deep within a remote asteroid field, hidden from prying eyes and old maps, human scientists discovered something extraordinary. Among jagged rocks and drifting debris lay a massive warship, ancient yet powerful. Its surface was dark and sleek, covered with mysterious symbols that glowed faintly, as if the ship itself was alive. The discovery caused immediate excitement and caution within the human command. This was not an ordinary vessel. It was a relic of a forgotten age. A dreadnought capable of unmatched destruction. The The scientists examined every part of the ship carefully, using advanced scanners to understand its systems. Its engines were unlike anything currently known, able to generate unimaginable energy, and its weapons were designed for precision and devastation. Even the interior was vast and complex, with corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly and control rooms filled with alien technology. The team realized that if activated, the Dreadnought could tip the balance of power in the galaxy completely. Human leadership faced a difficult decision. There were debates and arguments about morality, strategy, and the potential consequences. Some believed the Dreadnought should remain dormant, a museum piece and a symbol of human ingenuity. Others argued that keeping such power hidden would be a waste, and that humanity needed every advantage to survive in a galaxy full of ambitious and dangerous civilizations. The discussions were heated as leaders weighed the risk of provoking fear and possible retaliation against the opportunity to ensure human security for generations. Meanwhile, the scientists worked tirelessly, cautiously attempting to reactivate the ship without causing damage. They analyzed its systems, discovering complex networks of energy conduits, weapon arrays, and defensive mechanisms. Every test required extreme precision, because a single mistake could destroy the entire vessel or trigger a catastrophic explosion. As the team worked, they realized that the Dreadnought had been designed not only for war, but for strategy, capable of making decisions based on intelligence and environmental factors. News of the discovery was kept secret, shared only with the highest-ranking officials. Humans understood the importance of discretion, knowing that if alien civilizations learned of the Dreadnought, panic would spread, alliances could collapse, and preemptive attacks might be launched. The human leaders devised a careful plan, allowing them to study the ship fully, upgrade it with modern technology, and integrate human command systems. All the while, they maintained the illusion of normalcy, continuing diplomatic relations and trade agreements with other species. The excitement among the scientists was tempered by fear. They often worked in shifts, examining the ship day and night, documenting everything they discovered. From weapon systems capable of destroying entire fleets to defensive shields that could withstand the most advanced attacks, every revelation brought a mix of awe and apprehension. The Dreadnought was more than a machine. It was a symbol of human potential, a sleeping giant that could awaken and change the fate of the galaxy. As the activation process continued, subtle vibrations could be felt in the surrounding asteroid field. The ship seemed to respond to the human presence, systems coming online slowly, lights flickering along the hull, and hums of energy filling the void. Engineers monitored every signal, every power surge, knowing that they were awakening something that had not moved in centuries. The sense of responsibility weighed heavily on everyone involved, because this was no longer a simple experiment. It was the preparation of a force that could decide the outcome of interstellar conflicts. The human leaders convened regularly, reviewing progress and planning contingencies. They considered scenarios where the Dreadnought might be discovered prematurely, or if alien factions detected its power. Every decision had to be precise, balancing secrecy, diplomacy, and preparation. They understood that the moment of activation was not just a technical milestone, but a turning point in history. Humanity was on the brink of stepping out from being underestimated observers to becoming a dominant force in the galaxy. Finally, after weeks of careful work, the Dreadnought stirred, its systems humming with latent energy. Lights glowed across the hull, and the vast engines began to pulse, signaling that the ship was alive, ready to respond to human commands. Scientists and leaders alike felt a mix of awe, fear, and excitement. They knew that the galaxy would never be the same once the Dreadnought was fully operational. Its power was a promise, a warning, and a potential weapon of unprecedented magnitude. And humans, for the first time in centuries, held a key to reshaping the fate of countless worlds. Faced with growing threats from expansionist alien factions, human leaders made a decisive choice to awaken the Dreadnought fully. The debates that had once echoed in conference halls were replaced by action, as engineers, scientists, and military strategists worked together to bring the massive vessel online. Every system was calibrated, every weapon array tested, and every energy conduit synchronized with human command technology. The goal was clear: to create a force capable of defending humanity and asserting its place in the galaxy. The activation process was intricate and dangerous. The Dreadnought had remained dormant for centuries, and its systems were both powerful and unpredictable. Engineers worked around the clock, carefully interfacing human controls with the alien technology. Every adjustment had to be precise, as even a minor error could result in catastrophic failure. The ship seemed almost sentient at times, responding to commands with a mechanical grace, yet hinting at untapped potential that humans were only beginning to understand. In the command center, human leaders observed every stage of the activation, their eyes fixed on monitors displaying streams of data and holographic schematics. The atmosphere was tense, filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension. For years, humans had been underestimated, ignored, and dismissed by alien civilizations. And now, with the Dreadnought poised to awaken, they held a weapon that could shift the balance of power across entire star systems. As the engines roared to life, vibrations coursed through the hull, and energy pulses lit up the control rooms. Scientists and engineers felt the weight of history in their hands. They were not just reactivating a ship. They were unleashing an instrument capable of redefining humanity's role in the galaxy. Each weapon system was tested, from long-range plasma cannons to defensive shields that could withstand the most advanced attacks. The Dreadnought was a perfect combination of raw destructive power and intelligent design, built to dominate and endure. Outside the ship, surveillance drones monitored the surrounding space, ensuring that no alien fleet could witness the awakening. Humans understood that secrecy was as vital as preparation. Discovery too soon could spark fear, panic, and possibly a preemptive attack. The Dreadnought had to remain hidden until humans were ready to deploy it strategically. Every measure was taken to ensure that the galaxy would not yet know of the force that had been brought back to life. Within the ship, corridors hummed with energy, and control panels flickered with alien symbols and human adaptations. Pilots and operators trained in simulated environments. Learning how to maneuver the Dreadnought with precision, its weapon systems responded almost instinctively to commands, as if the ship itself understood strategy and tactics. The integration of human technology and ancient alien design created a vessel that was unmatched in potential, a combination of history and innovation. Meanwhile, human leaders considered the broader implications of activation. They understood that power came with responsibility, and that the use of the Dreadnought would send shockwaves through the galaxy. Allies and enemies alike would take notice, and the political landscape could shift dramatically. Yet the threat from expansionist factions left little room for hesitation. Humans had to act decisively, ensuring that they were not caught unprepared when conflict inevitably arrived. As the final systems came online, a quiet anticipation filled the command center. Every sensor, every weapon, and every engine had been calibrated, and the Dreadnought responded to human commands with flawless precision. Engineers exchanged relieved glances, knowing that their work had succeeded. Leaders felt a mixture of pride and caution, aware that the true test had not yet come, but confident that humanity had taken a monumental step forward. The Dreadnought's presence alone began to shift perceptions, even within the confines of hidden human territories. Its power radiated like a silent warning, and the galaxy would soon feel its influence. Humans had moved from observers to active participants in shaping interstellar events. The awakening was not an act of aggression, but a statement. Humanity would no longer be underestimated. Its capabilities were vast, and it was ready to defend itself and its interests at any cost. For the first time in centuries, humans held the key to changing the fate of the galaxy. The Dreadnought was more than a ship. It was a symbol of ambition, ingenuity, and determination. It represented the culmination of human patience, intelligence, and strategy. And as it hummed with life, everyone involved knew that the moment of peace that had lasted so long might soon give way to a new era, where humanity would assert its dominance and reshape the cosmic order. Alien envoys traveled across human space, visiting bustling cities and orbiting stations, unaware of the hidden force being prepared in secret. They arrived with gifts, documents, and polite words, discussing trade agreements, scientific exchanges, and cultural cooperation. The humans welcomed them with measured warmth, showing respect and friendship, while quietly observing. Every meeting, every handshake, and every smile carried layers of hidden intent. Humans gathered information about alien fleets, political ambitions, and technological capabilities, learning more than the aliens realized. On distant planets, markets flourished as merchants traded rare minerals, exotic foods, and advanced machinery. Ships moved through orbiting docks, unloading cargo and passengers. The atmosphere seemed normal, peaceful, and familiar. But beneath it, tension simmered. Humans maintained this calm deliberately, understanding that the appearance of everyday life was as important as the preparations happening in secret. Diplomats continued to negotiate, offering trade routes and resources, all while collecting data on alien strategies and weaknesses. Human scientists monitored the Dreadnought from hidden orbital stations, ensuring that its systems remained stable. The ship hummed with energy, its presence a silent reminder of human capability, but no alien could detect it. Its weapon systems were fully online, and defensive shields could withstand even the most advanced attacks. Yet it remained invisible to the galaxy, a sleeping giant waiting for the right moment. Engineers fine-tuned every subsystem, integrating human technology with the ancient alien design, creating a ship that could respond intelligently and swiftly to any threat. Meanwhile, in alien capitals, leaders discussed minor skirmishes and trade disputes. Believing that humans were still a minor factor, they underestimated human strategy, unaware that the Dreadnought's power was hidden nearby. Humans continued to strengthen alliances and conduct diplomacy, maintaining the illusion of normalcy. While alien fleets patrolled borders cautiously, humans analyzed patterns, calculating the best timing and methods for defensive or offensive maneuvers. Every move was carefully recorded and evaluated, creating a detailed map of galactic power dynamics. In the skies above human colonies, fleet patrols moved in precise formations, a visible show of defense. Pilots trained in simulations designed to replicate scenarios that could arise once the Dreadnought was revealed. They practiced coordinated maneuvers, understanding that precision and timing could mean the difference between survival and defeat. Even as humans outwardly maintained calm, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Every officer and pilot understood that the moment of peace could end suddenly, and their readiness would be crucial. Communication channels were closely monitored, ensuring that no information about the Dreadnought leaked accidentally. Humans intercepted messages from alien factions, analyzing them for threats or opportunities. Information was power, and every secret uncovered gave humans a strategic advantage. In research labs, engineers ran simulations to predict how alien fleets might respond if the Dreadnought was deployed. Every calculation, every test, and every prediction added to the confidence that humanity could control the outcome of a potential conflict. Even among the human leadership, debates continued about timing, morality, and strategy. Some argued for continued caution, hoping to delay any action until the galaxy's factions revealed their intentions. Others believed that preparation alone was not enough, insisting that the Dreadnought's presence should serve as a silent warning, a deterrent powerful enough to prevent war. Every decision weighed heavily, because the awakening of the Dreadnought would have consequences far beyond immediate survival, shaping alliances, rivalries, and the future of human civilization. As the Dreadnought rested in its hidden location, energy pulsing quietly through its systems, humans maintained the facade of peace. The alien envoys remained unaware, continuing their missions with trust and expectation, while humans conducted their observations and preparations meticulously, readying themselves for the moment when action would be necessary. The calm before the storm was deliberate, a strategic pause, allowing humans to understand their enemies, plan their moves, and ensure that when the Dreadnought finally revealed itself, it would alter the galaxy forever. Life in human space appeared ordinary, bustling with trade, diplomacy, and everyday activity. But beneath the surface, humans had become something more than observers. They were planners, strategists, and silent guardians, balancing diplomacy with preparation, patience with power. Every action, every meeting, and every calculation served a greater purpose: to maintain the illusion of peace, while building a force that could decisively protect humanity and assert its influence. The galaxy remained unaware of the hidden power lying in wait, and humans knew that their patience would soon bring them the advantage they had worked so long to achieve. An alien fleet moved cautiously through a human-controlled sector, unaware that they had crossed into forbidden space. The ships were sleek and heavily armed, their commanders confident that humans were still a minor power. Scanners failed to detect the hidden dreadnought lurking in a distant asteroid field. Its presence was invisible, yet it was ready, a silent predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the alien vessels proceeded, human sensors tracked every movement, recording ship formations, weapon capabilities, and possible vulnerabilities. Commanders in the human fleet monitored data feeds, calculating strategies that could maximize impact while minimizing risk. The Dreadnought's systems were fully online, and its weapon arrays primed for precision strikes, capable of destroying entire fleets without warning. Engineers and officers waited patiently, knowing that timing would determine the success of the first engagement. Suddenly, without any prior signal, the Dreadnought activated its long-range energy cannons, firing with pinpoint accuracy. Alien ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, hulls torn apart by concentrated blasts. Shockwaves rolled through space, throwing smaller vessels off course. The alien commanders were stunned, unable to comprehend how a single ship could cause such destruction. Panic spread quickly through the ranks as systems failed and fleets scattered in confusion. The human fleets supported the Dreadnought from a safe distance, coordinating movements and targeting systems. Every attack was calculated to neutralize threats efficiently, minimizing unnecessary damage while demonstrating overwhelming force. Communications from the alien fleet were chaotic, orders repeated and ignored, as fear and disbelief overtook structured command. In moments, what had been a routine patrol turned into a disaster, with multiple capital ships destroyed and smaller craft fleeing in terror. Observing from the command center, human leaders felt a mixture of awe and satisfaction. Years of preparation, research, and secrecy had led to this moment. Their strategy had worked perfectly, using the Dreadnought as a precise instrument of controlled chaos. The initial strike was not only a military maneuver, but a psychological message to the galaxy, showing that humanity could no longer be underestimated. Its power was absolute and undeniable. The alien response was slow and disorganized. Attempts to regroup and retaliate failed against the Dreadnought's advanced defense systems. Shields absorbed incoming fire, and countermeasures neutralized missiles and projectiles before they could reach the ship. Every maneuver by the enemy seemed ineffective, as if the Dreadnought anticipated their actions. Its intelligence and adaptability gave humans a decisive advantage, allowing them to control the pace and scale of the battle. Amid the chaos, smaller skirmishes erupted as alien units attempted to escape or retaliate. Human patrol ships intercepted these vessels, guiding them into areas controlled by the Dreadnought. The combination of stealth, strategy, and overwhelming power left alien forces demoralized. Fear spread faster than destruction, and commanders realized that their calculations had failed. The presence of the Dreadnought had changed the rules of engagement entirely, and the galaxy was beginning to understand that humans were no longer a minor species. On human worlds, citizens observed the first reports of the strike, transmitted discreetly through secure channels. Reactions varied between awe, pride, and apprehension. Leaders emphasized that the action was defensive yet necessary, framing the event as a warning rather than a full-scale assault. Yet the psychological impact on neighboring civilizations was immediate. Fleets were recalled, negotiations paused, and alliances reevaluated. The humans had not only struck physically, but had shifted the perception of power across star systems. Within the Dreadnought, systems remained fully operational, ready for additional strikes if required. Crew members marveled at the precision and effectiveness of the ancient technology, now fully integrated with modern human enhancements. Every subsystem functioned flawlessly, from energy distribution to weapon targeting. The battle had been swift, devastating, and absolute, leaving no doubt about the superiority of human strategy and the power of the awakened Dreadnought. As silence returned to the battlefield, human leaders assessed the results, plotting next moves and reinforcing readiness. They knew that this first strike was only the beginning, a demonstration of capability, a warning, and a test of the galaxy's response. Humanity had shown that it could defend itself decisively, and that those who underestimated them would pay a high price. The Dreadnought had unleashed chaos, and the calm that once existed across human-controlled space was gone forever. Alien governments reacted in panic after the sudden and devastating strike by the Dreadnought. Fleets that had been confident and organized moments ago now scrambled to regroup, forming hurried alliances with former rivals in an attempt to counter the overwhelming human force. Messages were sent across star systems calling for reinforcements, and emergency councils were convened, yet confusion and fear dominated every decision. Humans observed these reactions carefully, analyzing the fractured responses and noting weaknesses. Their strategy had always considered that the first strike would not be the end, but the catalyst for chaos. As alien fleets attempted to mount counterattacks, they discovered that humans were always a step ahead, coordinating defensive positions and controlling the battlefield with precision. The Dreadnought's advanced sensors and weapon systems allowed it to anticipate maneuvers, neutralizing threats before they could become serious. In the midst of this chaos, some alien commanders attempted daring maneuvers, trying to regroup scattered ships and strike at human colonies. Human patrols intercepted these efforts, directing them into the Dreadnought's range. Every action taken by the aliens seemed to play into human hands, as if the humans had predicted the chaos and turned it into an advantage. The result was devastating for the attackers, who lost more ships and resources with each failed maneuver. On human worlds, leaders monitored the situation with careful attention. Communicating with fleet commanders and strategists, they ensured that every human asset was used efficiently. Humans understood that the chaos they had unleashed could quickly spiral out of control if not managed properly. They coordinated reinforcements, repaired minor damage, and prepared contingency plans for potential escalation. Every decision was calculated to maintain dominance while minimizing unnecessary destruction. Across the galaxy, communication networks were flooded with reports of losses, destroyed fleets, and abandoned territories. Alien governments struggled to maintain order as fear spread through their populations. Citizens panicked at the news of human power, and the sudden display of the Dreadnought's capabilities undermined trust in their leaders. Alliances that had taken decades to form were strained, some even collapsing as factions argued over how to respond. The first strike had created not just physical destruction, but political turmoil. The human fleets, though fewer in number, moved with coordinated precision, striking only when necessary and avoiding unnecessary exposure. The Dreadnought remained central to their strategy, its presence alone intimidating alien forces and shaping the battlefield. Human commanders used smaller vessels to harass and misdirect enemy fleets, drawing them into traps and forcing them into positions where the Dreadnought could neutralize them efficiently. Every action was part of a larger plan, turning chaos into a strategic advantage. Amid the fighting, some aliens attempted diplomacy, sending envoys to propose ceasefires or negotiations. Humans responded cautiously, aware that the goal was to stabilize situations where possible, but never to reveal weakness. They used these communications to gather more intelligence, learning the intentions, fears, and priorities of opposing governments. The combination of overwhelming force and strategic diplomacy allowed humans to control not just battles, but the broader political landscape. As the chaos continued, entire star systems were affected, trade routes were disrupted, colonies feared attacks, and military resources were diverted to defense. Humans monitored every change, adapting strategies in real time. Their ability to act decisively and anticipate enemy moves gave them a clear advantage. Even as alien factions struggled to recover, humans maintained the initiative, pressing forward with calculated strikes and controlled demonstrations of power. Within the Dreadnought, the crew remained vigilant, its systems coordinating flawlessly with human commands. Weapon arrays were ready for any sudden threats. Shields absorbed incoming fire without issue, and sensors tracked movements across vast distances. Engineers and officers marveled at the efficiency of the ship, realizing that it was not just a tool of war, but a force that could shape events across the galaxy. By the end of these first chaotic days, humans had established control over contested regions. Alien fleets were weakened and demoralized, and political structures across star systems had shifted dramatically. The galaxy was no longer in equilibrium, and humans were at the center of this new order. Their actions had unleashed chaos deliberately, and they were using it to build dominance. Every system, every fleet, and every political decision now acknowledged the power of humanity, and the Dreadnought had become both a symbol and an instrument of this new reality. Within the human command centers, voices debated fiercely about the ethics of using the Dreadnought's overwhelming power. Some argued that such force was necessary to ensure humanity's survival in a galaxy filled with unpredictable and aggressive civilizations. Others questioned whether the destruction and fear caused by the first strikes had gone too far. Morality clashed with strategy as leaders weighed the costs of absolute power against the benefits of security. Scientists and engineers also felt the weight of responsibility, knowing that every system they had activated, every weapon they had calibrated, could be used to destroy entire fleets and even entire planets. They understood that humanity now possessed a force unlike any other, a weapon that could dominate the galaxy. But with that came the danger of crossing a line that could make humans feared, hated, or even targeted collectively. Some officers spoke of restraint, arguing that demonstrations of power should be used sparingly, enough to protect human space without provoking further conflict unnecessarily. Others insisted that the Dreadnought should be deployed decisively to eliminate any potential threats before they could organize. The tension between caution and aggression reflected the larger debate about what it meant to be a responsible power and whether survival justified the use of near-absolute force. In private meetings, human leaders discussed the implications of their actions, projecting possible outcomes of continued escalation. They considered how alien civilizations might adapt, form alliances, or seek revenge. Every scenario was analyzed meticulously, as humans realized that power alone did not guarantee long-term security. Intelligence, diplomacy, and foresight were equally important. The Dreadnought was not just a weapon. It was a tool that required careful management, planning, and restraint. Meanwhile, the galaxy outside continued to react to the human strikes. Alien governments scrambled to understand how a single vessel had caused so much destruction. Rumors spread, misinformation circulated, and fear became a universal language. Humans watched these reactions carefully, recognizing that their dominance came with psychological consequences. Every alien decision was now influenced by the knowledge that humans held overwhelming power, and this created both opportunity and danger. Among the crew of the Dreadnought, discussions emerged about duty and purpose. Pilots and officers grappled with the morality of their missions, understanding that while their actions were defensive in one sense, the power they wielded was destructive beyond measure. They debated the balance between following orders and considering the broader consequences for the galaxy. These conversations reflected the human struggle to reconcile ambition with ethics, strategy with conscience. In human colonies, citizens also discussed the new reality. Some celebrated humanity's rise, proud that their species had finally become a dominant force. Others worried about the costs of such power, wondering if the galaxy would ever forgive or forget the devastation caused by the Dreadnought. Leaders understood that maintaining public trust was as important as controlling alien reactions, and communications were managed carefully to convey both strength and responsibility. As humans continued to prepare for potential further conflicts, plans were refined, new strategies developed, and simulations run to predict the behavior of alien fleets. Leaders considered not only military objectives but the long-term consequences for galactic diplomacy and trade. They realized that domination without careful thought could provoke rebellion, coalition attacks, or other unforeseen challenges, and that moral restraint might sometimes be as powerful as overwhelming force. Despite these debates, a consensus began to form that humanity's actions, though aggressive, were justified in the context of survival and security. The Dreadnought represented both an advantage and a responsibility. A test of whether humans could wield unprecedented power wisely, the lessons were clear. Victory was not guaranteed, morality mattered, and every action carried consequences that rippled across the galaxy. Even as leaders weighed options and debated ethics, humans continued to advance their position, controlling territories, observing alien movements, and using the Dreadnought to project power subtly when necessary. The tension between moral restraint and strategic necessity became the defining challenge of this era. And humans understood that the decisions made in these critical moments would shape not only the fate of their species, but the future of countless civilizations across the stars. Through careful reflection, planning, and leadership, humans sought to balance power with responsibility. Recognizing that the Dreadnought was both a symbol of potential chaos and a safeguard for survival. The moral dilemma lingered constantly, reminding everyone that ultimate power was not just about victory, but about making choices that preserved humanity's integrity while ensuring its place among the stars. The Dreadnought's presence reshaped the balance of power across the galaxy permanently. Its overwhelming capabilities forced alien civilizations to reconsider their strategies, alliances, and ambitions. Former adversaries who once viewed humans as weak now approached with caution or sought submission, while others who resisted faced complete destruction. Humanity had established itself not only as a military power, but as a political and strategic force that could not be ignored. In the aftermath of the first strikes, human leaders worked diligently to consolidate control, negotiating with those willing to cooperate and neutralizing threats from those who resisted. Entire star systems shifted allegiance, recognizing that opposing humans was now far too risky. Yet the approach was calculated. Aimed at demonstrating strength while avoiding unnecessary destruction, humans understood that stability required more than fear. It required respect and strategic governance. Trade routes that had been disrupted during the chaos were reestablished under human oversight, ensuring that resources, technology, and communication flowed smoothly. Colonies once threatened by alien incursions now flourished under protection, and humans invested in infrastructure, science, and exploration. Their control extended beyond mere military dominance, reaching into economics, culture, and diplomacy, solidifying humanity's influence across multiple systems. Alien leaders, though shaken and fearful, recognized the benefits of aligning with humans rather than opposing them. Some sought to form treaties, offering resources and knowledge in exchange for protection and inclusion in the new order. Others attempted secret resistance. But the Dreadnought and human fleets were always vigilant. Their intelligence networks allowed humans to anticipate and prevent most rebellions before they could gain traction. The psychological impact of the Dreadnought's power was as significant as its physical capabilities. Across the galaxy, civilizations now knew that humanity possessed a weapon and strategy that could render conventional fleets useless. Stories spread of entire fleets vanishing without warning, creating a mixture of awe, fear, and respect. The presence of such power ensured that humans were no longer merely participants in galactic affairs. They were now the central authority, influencing decisions across multiple star systems. Within human leadership, careful planning continued, not merely to maintain control, but to ensure that dominance remained sustainable. They debated how to use the Dreadnought for future missions, balancing deterrence with engagement. Humans understood that unchecked aggression could unite alien factions against them, while measured displays of power could secure compliance without full-scale war. Every decision was guided by strategy, foresight, and the lessons learned from the chaos they had unleashed. Human colonies experienced a sense of security that had been previously unimaginable. Citizens could live without constant fear of alien attacks. Scientists explored new technologies, traders expanded their networks, and fleets continued to patrol strategically. The galaxy, though forever changed, began to stabilize under human influence. The Dreadnought remained a symbol of ultimate authority, its silent presence reinforcing human power and discouraging rebellion. Even among allies, respect for humans grew, as other civilizations recognized the intelligence, planning, and discipline required to control such power effectively. The Dreadnought was not only a weapon of destruction, but a representation of human ingenuity, patience, and strategic foresight. Leaders who had doubted humanity's potential now saw them as equals or superiors, and the galaxy's political landscape had shifted irreversibly. In space stations, command centers, and fleets, humans remained vigilant, knowing that dominance was not permanent without continued effort. The Dreadnought ensured immediate security. But humans invested in diplomacy, intelligence, and technological advancement to maintain their position. Every action, from trade negotiations to fleet patrols, reinforced their authority, creating a new order built on strategy, power, and careful governance. By the end of these events, humanity had emerged as the central power in the galaxy. A mix of awe, respect, and fear spread among alien civilizations, and the former equilibrium of peace was gone forever. Humans had demonstrated that their patience, planning, and technological prowess could not only survive the challenges of a complex galaxy, but dominate it. The Dreadnought had been the instrument of this change, and humanity, aware of its responsibility, now guided the course of countless worlds, shaping a future that would remember this era as the rise of a new galactic order,